Hello, welcome to the first episode of the Karting1 show, podcast, talk show, whatever you want to call it. For me, this is just a way to chat to some of my friends in karting and some of the sort of leading figures and be able to have those conversations so you can enjoy them too. Before we get to the interview with Jack Dex, I'll just let you know that I'm wearing the some Karting1 merch t-shirt. I think it looks pretty cool. There are links down below if you fancy getting this t-shirt, or I think you can get a hoodie as well. So yeah, you know, everything like that sort of helps the channel and whatever. And I think it looks pretty cool anyway. So yeah, so we've got Jack Dex on today. Long-time friend of Jack. I mean, it goes back to when he started in, I think it was Junior TKM. That's a long time ago now. I'm not even going to tell you how long. But since then, Jack's raced at the highest levels of British karting. He won a round of Super 1 in Junior Rotax. Must have been, what, 2000, late 2000, 2009, I think. Raced internationally. Tested every kart under the sun. You won't find anybody more knowledgeable about the sport than him. So, yeah, let's crack on. Hope you enjoy it. And we'll be doing more of these in the future. And, yeah, let's go. Let's get straight to it. Let's talk about the important things in life. Division 1 Superkart. Tell me all about it, because you've basically had a go in one. Kind of off the back of the Superkart online championship we did. And yeah, what was that all about?
Yeah, so obviously do the team thing with MS Car. They've got quite a big involvement with it, have done for a while, but never really taken much notice or watched it. Or I remember years ago when I raced single seaters, they were supporting. I went, oh wow, that looks pretty cool. And then we did the first lockdown. We did your Superkart Championship. That sort of sparked the interest again, and I knew. Sort of got in contact with MS Kart, and I knew Dave Harvey used the MS Kart for the Superkart, and I had a free weekend. Just so happened to be that they were at Snetterton, so I rang him up. I was like, can I have a go? So yeah, I had a go on the Friday of the Snetterton. So they had a race. It was the Friday practice for the Snetterton race. So yeah, had a go for four sessions, and yeah, oh my god, fantastic.
Yeah, because I remember you called me after it and you were buzzing.
I just remember the first session going out, and it's like insane, and I felt like I was on the limit, like the cart was moving around and a little bit out of control, to be fair. So I come in and thought, that was pretty good. And then I had my teammate, who's Lee Harpham's obviously quite good at it, been doing it for a while, and I was a good 4.5 seconds off the pace. So I was like, wow, these are fast.
And then, like, you were saying how sort of on edge he was, like when you were following Lee. Like, what did you learn from him?
Just the commitment. It's weird. It's like a kart at slow speed. Feels like a kart, in the hairpin. But then at high speed, more like an aero car that I've driven before, like a single seater almost. Like the faster you go, the easier it became. So like turn 1 at Snetterton, it's very fast, and the Coram corner towards the end of the lap. Actually, when you went faster, the more sort of settled the kart felt, and just trusting it, trying to get your brain to process that it will go round at that speed, because you do feel a little bit lost to begin with. The track feels very big, and you're quite aware that you're in a kart, even though you're doing the speed you are doing. So yeah, just to get your brain to process that it will go around turn 1 at Snetterton pretty much flat out.
Because that's the thing. Like, for those that aren't familiar, you've raced an LMP1 car. You've done single seaters. So it's not like you're jumping into a Division 1 car having done just a bit of pro karting. Like, you're more than capable of lapping Snetterton. So like when you phoned me up, it was like, okay, it really must be the nuts.
Yeah, I remember. It's been a while since I've been to Snetterton, but I've lapped it in a Formula Renault good 10 years ago now, which is a 2 litre single seater car. And this kart was we won 13 and 1 4 seconds faster in this kart, which is pretty insane, and cost, I don't know. So yeah, that day cost me a tenth of what the single seater cost me. So, you know, for lap time for money, it's pretty good, really. And actually, the weekend after that Snetterton, I flew to Zandvoort and raced an LMP2 car. And I remember thinking on the first few laps, this feels a bit tame compared to the cars.
That's mad, isn't it? Like, I'll have to interject here and say, like, I have to make, for my own morals, I won't drive a supercar because it's pretty much mandatory leather and I won't wear leather. But I'm happy to talk about the car. I have to put that in because you know me, Jack. I'm all up the vegan street. But like, what's mad about these karts, and this is what sort of frustrates me. Like, I can't really promote supercars. I can't recommend it. It's a weird problem I find myself in. But like, I was looking at the lap times, and they're lap quicker than a GT3, and people are spending houses to race that. And this and you've got supercars, and it just seems like it's this weird sort of subculture of motorsport that's sort of hidden away. And I can't really comprehend how they're not in your face all the time. I don't know what your feeling was about it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very well promoted, which is a shame because it wouldn't take much to promote it, because you'd only have to take a video of them going round and you go, wow, that's cool, I want to have a go at that. And even that day I done, we were set up like right at the back of the paddock, sort of, well out the way, and I think it was Caterham's or something had the garages and the trucks, and we sort of pushed our carts to the grid, which is a weird experience in itself at a car track. But anyway, and I thought to myself, we're spending far less than these Caterham boys. We're going around far faster. Arguably, it's more competitive. Like, there's some good drivers in it. It's quite close. And the Division 1's only getting more popular. Sort of how it's gone recently, by the look of it, is the 250's getting less popular and more people are doing the Division 1. Many people know about it. A lot of my friends in the car racing world, or like the X30 world, don't know too much about it and wouldn't even know how to sort of get involved or have a go. So that group of people that do it are sort of in their own bubble, and lovely bunch of people. Like, it's quite friendly paddock to be in, but they don't really. I don't think they promote it very well. More people need to know about it because it is cool.
Yeah, it's bonkers. It's mad. Like, I don't know. It's easy, I guess, because I can easily say, it's not promoted properly, and then the realities of trying to promote it is always quite difficult, because half the time people are taking up their time trying to get testing and tracks booked and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the sort of, like, I noticed that, like, the way I saw it was like a driver like you acts as like a bridge between our world and their world, because when you started posting about it on Facebook or whatever, like, you got a ton of people were interested, like, and a lot of young drivers.
Yeah, I just think, like, I had put some videos up of it going past, and a lot of people were surprised really just how fast it looked. I actually thought I had a chain brake on the back straight, so I jumped over the Armco and was watching them go by, and when you stood that close, I think it was 147 mile an hour before you get to the bridge there. I thought, if I had my phone with me now, like, I just got some video of them here, like, it'd make a great video. So yeah, something as simple as that, I think, makes a big difference. And it's a shame, like, what's going on at the moment, because I was pretty keen to buy one and get on with it and get racing, but that might have to be delayed for a little bit now. But when I do sort of have my own, I'll be able to get some, like, let a few lads from the X30 or two-stroke karting come and have a go and get them involved, really.
Because I think like, I was saying with you, like, I guess in karting we don't have as many characters doing stuff, and like doing cool stuff. I noticed in the Supercross scene, a couple of the top riders have like their own vlogs and all that kind of stuff, and they're showing everybody what they're doing. And I think someone like you has the opportunity to do cool stuff, because I think people would be interested in seeing it. Because it's like, it's not just the supercart that you've got. You've got like this twin kart thing we were going to do until this our friendly neighbourhood virus decided to scupper everything. Like, and that was going to be crazy. And the initial plan was OK and a Formula A, but you've got yourself another OK engine, and the plan now is a twin OK, which is that's mental.
Yeah, it's just, why not? You know, we had a bit of spare time in the first lockdown, and one of my friends can weld quite well, Matt, who was in your video. So he put the rail in, put the seat in. You know, them OK engines aren't worth a lot now, so why not?
I think like it's a weird thing about kart racing is like you get these engines like a senior OK engine, which is how much 40. It's at least like a bad OK is still 42 horsepower or whatever, and that you can't really shift them now. They're like paperweights, old ones. So just put two on a kart and see what happens. Like, I think that's just wicked. I guess how far in the plans are you now? Like, how far is the build gone?
Pretty much finished. So all the main bits are done. We fitted front brakes, because obviously thought we might need to stop. The main bit's done with the chassis welding, remounting the rear brake has to obviously be remounted in the centre to allow for the two sprocket carriers. So that's all done. The water systems pretty much there. We haven't really tested it in decent weather to see if like the water system we've got is good enough to cool them both. And then just it's going to take a bit of messing around, getting the gear in and making sure they can both get enough fuel and bits like that. But the main bits are done really. We just need to have some time to get on track and see how bonkers it is really. I mean, my opinion of it all, I mean, X30 is what I've done my roast race and Simpson racing, and actually driving it round quite tame. What makes it really fun is how like ultra competitive it is, and that's what brings the enjoyment for kart racing for me, is the competition. It's not so much the enjoyment of just driving the machine, whereas the car racing I do, it's completely the other way around. Like the driving the prototype cars is absolutely amazing, but the competition's nowhere near to the level of like an X30 race at PF, for example. So the supercar is like, for me, the best of both. Like, it's competitive and then yeah, this project is just because I think it'll be an amazing bit of kit to drive.
I know, it's like I was just trying to think like I haven't driven in so long now. I don't think I could physically deal with it. But round Wilton Mill, you're gonna have a lump of like 80 horsepower. I don't even. My ribs hurt just thinking about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the normal OK, the single OK round Wilton Mill's a handful. Like that top of the section is bumpy, like your poor ribs. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see where that goes. There's some like now you've kind of established yourself really in a sort of niche outside of just the race team. You seem to be the hub where everybody goes to test now. Like, you had Super GT, the YouTuber, come and test with you. Seen Through Glass, who's a popular YouTuber. Like, what in terms of like you're engaging with people in karting. I don't even know if you realise it, in a new kind of way, in a modern way. Like, how have you sort of seen that side of your business as a team and that? Like, do you think that's helping karting generate interest? Is there more that can be done?
Yeah, I think you get caught up in your own bubble really with karting. But the car racing guys still love karting. They use it for fitness, and a lot of the GT guys have not amateur teammates, but the teammates that haven't done a lot of karting before, so they bring them along. It's just word of mouth. They all love it, and for them, it's relatively cheap. So they come and do a few days, and then they tell their friends, and so that's how that all snowballed. The Super GT thing was, I got Gran Turismo in the first lockdown and got into that. He's obviously into that, so started racing him, and I knew he did Club 100, so I said, look, come have a go in a proper two stroke, and he did, and made a video of it, and the amount of views he got, and off the back of that, I had a load of like Gran Turismo players going, oh yeah, I quite fancy a go at that. So we need to make it more accessible, not to the, I think anyway, to like getting more hobby karters, and stop trying to make it so elitist, because karting's fantastic and it's brilliant fun, and it can be done. It's far cheaper than everyone seems to like to make out on social media. We seem to have this amazing habit of trying to put people off our sport, and you see these newcomers trying to get into it, and everyone's like, you don't do that, it's too expensive, and you think, well, every other sport they promote it and try and get people into it, whereas we seem to have a habit of doing the opposite. So yeah, I just try and get people into two strokes. I've got some old karts that just run, and I'd never race them, but for what these guys need, they're brilliant, and yeah, the more people we can get, the better.
Because I think we've got a weird thing in kart racing. I don't know what you think about this. So, like, we have an obsession. So we're elitist, but the elitist focus on F1 drivers. So we sort of we skip over the best kart drivers and go straight to the F1 guys, like Lewis Hamilton or whatever. And then, we don't really understand that karting is relatively affordable. Like the whole budget kart challenge was like proving to people that you can buy a full representative kart, like not just some eBay special, but an actual real kind of kart for little money. Obviously, once again, the corona come in and scuppered those plans. But I think, I don't know, I think there's probably like the negativity bias in kart racing, and I've done it as well, is quite dominant, and it's hard to. I guess you get a kick out of saying stuff, if you know what I mean. Like it's a kick, isn't it? It's really hard to go, come and do karting. It's mint. It's better to go, it's just. It's easier, isn't it? It's easier because.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's a lot of not bitter about it, but they haven't achieved what they wanted to achieve, or whatever, and have got this negative sort of surrounding that. But they've still had some brilliant results and had a lot of fun along the way, and that's what we should be promoting, really. And even the senior karting, in the UK, I mean, Callum Bradshaw won the World Championship last year. We had Danny Curl not that long ago, and I didn't think either of them were very well promoted. You could go to a Shellington club meeting and you'd have Danny walking around, and no one sort of knew who he was. He was world champion, right? He's a world champion of our sport. If it was a different sport and the world champion was walking alongside you, you'd be queuing up for his autograph, right? And he's coaching some novices. Like that's.
It's weird, because I think I'm of the same thought process. In some ways, it's really cool. Like the best kart driver in the world could still go to a club race, and it's all part of it. But if a back marker from F1 turned up, he would be getting all of the autographs. And you're like, well, Danny Curl's, in my opinion, the better driver. So it's like, it's this weird thing we've got in kart racing, but I guess it's all to do with the stepping stone thing with kart racing and the obsession with F1. We've totally lost sight of our own sport, I guess. I looked at the license figures, and it's only 30% are seniors. So we're sort of eating away at the sort of mature aspect to the sport. But like, in terms of competition, I always say like an X30 clubby, and you've said it as well. It's like a world class event. Like if you're racing at Kart Masters.
Yeah, I try and do the Kart Masters nearly every year because I feel like the senior X30, or all the classes, but I obviously do the senior X30 at PF is as hard as they come. There is drivers on there that are world champions and sort of everywhere in between. And I think if you're half a second off, you're basically in the B finals. There are not many races or in any motorsport that's as competitive as that, and it's still obviously relatively cheap. You know, I own all the own kit, so it only costs me a few £100 really. So yeah, that needs to be promoted as well, really.
Yeah, I think it's like a communication thing. You kind of have to. The difficulty is, if you're in a position of sort of organising these races, you sound a bit mad. Because I think top level kart racing is the highest form of real life motorsport on four wheels. Right, that's kind of my opinion. I don't think there's anything higher. It is fragmented and all that. Like the sport's fragmented, but I still believe, like if you're the top kart driver in the world, I don't see how that's not one of the highest levels of motorsport. Full stop. But if you say that in public, you look like a lunatic because people just think karting's for kids, whatever, and it's the opposite.
Yeah, we're never going to get away from being a stepping stone to motorsport, and I don't think we need to be. Obviously, there's always room for these kids, and it's obviously great that a few of them are making it all the way to Formula One. That's fantastic. That needs to be shouted about for sure. But 99% or 98% don't, and they're the ones that we always hear the stories about. But they should come back. Why can't we get them back? It's and still do it for fun. Like come back and race. I think it's a shame. Like when I do the kart masters, I look around the grid, and fair play to Derek Morgan, he's also my age. But I look around and I'm like, I am definitely the oldest one here now. But that's a shame, really. See the KZ abroad. The KZ abroad, they're all my age, really. Doing the KZs, because OK drivers now seem to be, kids really that are on their way to motorsport. And then the KZ is for the older sort of people who just have a passion for kart racing.
Yeah, because the average age of the top three in KZ is higher than the average age of the top three in F1. And people don't realise that. You're like, karting is kind of more senior. Like, and I think, yeah, that's the tricky thing. Like, it's how do you have to be quite ballsy. I think it's possible. I just think that those that run the championships and stuff like that, and I've been in a similar position myself, you really have to be ballsy and commit to a message, and people will get tuned into that over time. Like with IKR, like I remember when the IKR term was first coined, nobody knew what it meant. It was still non-MSA, but over time, people start using it, and then 10 years later, it becomes ubiquitous, and it does fuel like a change. So, like I remember, like it's just a language thing. Like I look back when you did Junior Road Tax, was it in 2000, and I can't remember when. Like that was mega competitive. Like when you won the Super 1 round at Larkhall, like that was when it was properly mad.
Yeah, it's good sort of late 2000s. Road Tax became the most popular, or almost like the premier class, because it was that transition from Formula A to KF, and that sort of was weird sort of area. So everyone was racing Road Tax. So yes, it was ultra competitive, but it still is now. It's just like you say, more fragmented. Like you've got loads more options now. It's not so clear cut. And we've talked about it before. I don't know what the solution is. Everyone's got their own opinions on that. But in most of the categories, the 5 drivers are very, very good.
I know. I mean, I sometimes like think if we all, I don't think it's possible. I have everyone knows why I think it, but like if if we had that elite category that people did, like I can't even compute how competitive. Even though like Junior X30 is competitive, Junior Road Taxi is competitive, but like if you threw them in the same grid, all fighting it out like it is in other motorsports like motocross and all that kind of stuff, like it would, the competition level would be insane. Like it's just, I guess it's a promotional thing, and we are trying to fix it. That's why I'm talking to you, Jack, because I want to start talking to kart people.
I think like what's a part, it's a bit silly at the moment, is like use the X30 and the Rotax thing. A lot of it, they are the same drivers doing both. So we did the Portimao in December, and there was an X30 one and a Rotax one, and I sort of looked at the grid and went, top few rows, it's like the same. It's like the same kids who have done both, and you know, how like not wasteful, but it was almost just seems silly to me that you've got to purchase all of one style of equipment and then come back a week later and purchase another like load of equipment and travel, but the lap times are the same, right? So you're traveling around the same speed, everything's the same, you know, small differences, but mostly it's just the same. um, but it's not as clear cut as just getting rid of one and we all race it.
No, it's a single make thing. It's like, I guess in a sport like dirt bikes, it's like you do. I mean, I'm going to oversimplify because I know it's not this simple. But you go, right, I'm going to do 250s, 250F, KTM, Bosch. You get stuck in Group C or whatever because you're rubbish, and that's it. You go racing. There's no, I can figure that out. That ain't tricky. But like the single make thing is, it changes the psychology of drivers and competitors, and probably because it's more parent driven. Like, and all they want to do is have a fair chance of winning and all that. And it's I don't know. I mean, it would take such a psychological shift for people to go, right, let's all do it. The only solution would be doing like OK or KZ and not having them.
You go to some of these iCar events, and they've got they do like a Libra, because there's, you know, just a few different, like 2 or 3 in like 8 different classes. So they have a Libra and all race together, and the racing's all right. Like they all go around the same speed. Some are on a Rotax, a Rock, I don't know, X30, all sorts, and they all go around about the same speed. And then you think, well, this is basically multi-manufacturer karting, right? but anyway, yeah, no.
It does. I mean, that works. But it's such a psychological shift. Like, I think part of karting's problem is the level of competitiveness is off the scale. Like, I don't think I've really experienced it in many other motorsports, and obviously because, unlike say bikes where it's more rider dependent, we do have more emphasis on engines and stuff, and I think that just seeps in, and it makes life very difficult to sort of unionise. You get everyone together racing under the same banner.
As a kid now, like in the 2000s to where we are now, the preparation in the equipment now is you know, real high level, unbelievable. Really, the time being spent on finding performance in the material, in you know, getting the engines, carburetors, the chassis, the testing involved. You know, it's real high level. Like even when you go into junior motorsport, or even even some bit like high end motorsport, car racing, it's not the same level as the preparation in kart racing.
Yeah, I think I mean, and I think it's a good thing. It's just one of those things that it's bridging that gap. Like, we have this elite level sport, but but you can just buy a car and go racing and have a laugh. Like, it's a difficult thing to get right, but
I like to promote both ends, really. It's cool that we've got the elite side, and that's great. And like I said earlier, it's really competitive, and that's brilliant. But that's not all of karting. That's actually quite a small percentage of karting. But that's the only side we like to shout about. And to some people, that's not what they want. They want to just do it as a hobby. They want to just go and drive around with their mates on the cheap, which is possible. And you go to some of these Wilton Mill Wednesdays, and you do get all sorts going round. And but what, like, it annoys me when people are like laughing at them, because what's wrong with them? Like, they're having probably more fun than we're having.
Yeah, because you're like thinking, I've got to get through 3 engines today, you know, and like 5 carbs, and they're just whacking down something they've bought off eBay on the floor, and they're off, mate. It's mint.
Yeah,
like...
we're stressing because we're half a tenth off the pace, right? Throwing axles in and out, and they're power sliding around the last corner, like loving life.
Because that's it, Will, and you can listen to it, can't you? And you can hear them sliding through the last corner, and you're like, oh god, but they're loving it, aren't they? And that's the side of the sport I think we'd benefit from, like, talking about and encouraging more, because I think that's really where karting is good. Like, it's the garage tuning and stuff, and at home, and like I remember when you raced Junior TKM with your old man, and you know, yellow pods. I think you had a slightly oversized suit at one point, but it was you and your old man at the top of Wilton going racing in TKM, and it was proper, you know. And it was, there's not to say like the teams and that there's anything wrong with that, but at the same time, it's easy to lose sight of what the sport really is, you know. And it's just a bunch of guys racing because karts are cool and a bit mad. I wanted to talk about what did I want to talk about? I forget now. Like, what's the future of the sport looking like for you at the moment? Like, where's it sitting health wise, team wise, like, for you, considering we've got this, what the situation is now?
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty at the moment, really. I mean, personally, obviously, I'm taking less of as a driver role now, and more concentrating on the coaching and providing a service, like doing the team bit, which has been great. I've enjoyed it a lot, actually. But it's quite hard to now. I try and bring a lot of novices into the sport through club racing. It's quite hard now to give them the right advice, actually, like to make sure they select the right class and buy the right equipment, because it's actually, like, even I've been doing it now for a long time. It's quite hard to get it right for everybody, which is a shame. And going forward, it's not quite clear cut what's going to take off and what's just going to last 2 years and die off. You've got the electric thing starting to come in now, which could either be the next best thing or could die out. It's, again, a bit of uncertainty there. And you've got this big battle now between some quite successful IKR, as you've mentioned, championships, and the Motorsport UK championships, and a lot of people are just doing both. So, you know, trying to plan my calendar for this year now, and it's never been so difficult, because you've got some people wanting to do this, some people wanting to do that, clashes here, there, and everywhere, and it's silly, really, because mostly you'll be racing the same kids at all these championships, right? But you can't do them all because there's clashes. So what's going to happen is you'll obviously start doing them all, and then whichever ones you're doing better in, you'll carry on and stop doing it. So yeah, a lot of intensity, but I'll carry on doing the team bit and trying to get as much success there as possible.
Well, that's like, what's interesting about you, I guess, is like, you're on the MS kart, and obviously since maybe 2001, maybe, I don't know, maybe it started with the Mitox. You know, ATK came in and have slowly sort of become the dominant brand. We've had there's little pockets of Birrell here and that kind of stuff, but you've maintained a good market share for yourself using the MS karts. Like, I think that's kind of cool and underappreciated, that, like, even though we race the same tyres, the same engines in most classes now, you can still differentiate yourself on chassis. And, like, I think what you do with the MS kart is actually a really cool story. And I know you've got a close relationship with them, like, and you do development work, and you have made the kart what it is, which is really competitive.
Yeah, so it actually started back when I was sort of racing myself with the pro karting, the endurance, which also needs promoting, by the way, because that is really good fun. And
Yeah, I
a,
gotta
l-
say,
people, a lot of people like slag that off, but it's actually more competitive than everyone thinks. And something about endurance racing that's um, got a different element to it. But
well, no, I need to interject it. I need to interject it because out of all the things you talk about whenever we speak, nothing gets you more pumped and hyped than pro cards. Like, it's, I think, because if you're of a certain vintage, pro karting has a particular image. I guess like old gearbox karting and that kind of stuff. But now it's hyper competitive. You know, everybody's doing it. Most people. I mean, you can do it for a laugh, whatever. It's the same story, but you get well pumped talking about pro cards.
I tell you what it is with that. It's because you don't stop laughing from the second you get there to the second you leave. After the racing's finished, everyone gets together, you know, has a beer or has a sit down, a barbecue, and it's just a really enjoyable weekend. And then you put your helmet on, and the drivers are good. Like, it's a good race, and it's a long race. It's got, like I say, different elements to it. A bit of a team, more team involved as well. So yeah, but MS are massive in pro karting, right? They've got sort of the most of the grid are on their products. So um, I wanted to give my own team more of an identity. The problem with now is we're all on the same engines, right? So you can't really. There's a bit of performance to be had there, but it's minimal, right? You've just got to do a good job there. So giving the chassis, having your own chassis, like more of a gives your team more of an identity. You're not just another Tony Kart team like nearly everybody else. And they're brilliant. They've made some changes that I wanted to make, just little bits to make it more user friendly from the driving point, but also from working on it. It's durable. I think the quality of the product is high. And yeah, it makes us different. It gives a reason for people to come to us rather than just another OTK team, right? So uh, it's been enjoyable, and actually I've learned a lot. You know, like what the tubing does, or moving rails, or changing the shape, or that I wouldn't have learned. Obviously, I just use the same as everybody else.
Yeah, it's a cool story, and I want more people to know about that kind of stuff because I do think there's potential there to gain an advantage as a race team. Because if you just follow everybody else, you can only be as good as everybody else, and you know that's not motorsport to me. Like I like the concept of beating people with better equipment and better sort of better thinking.
The mid to late 2000s in Rotax especially, you had to be on an OTK, or that was the perception. Looking back, whether you did or didn't, you know, I don't really know actually. But at the time, it felt like you had to be on an OTK. So 98% of the grids were. But then since X30 came along, it actually has there is now a much bigger range of chassis makes out there, which is good to see. Yeah,
I
much better
mean,
to see. And like you say, it does, you know, different conditions or different circuits, different times of year. It gives different people advantages, and yeah, makes it more interesting, I feel.
I just had a thought. To go back to pro karts, like what was that story you told me about, like doing a triple stint or something at Le Mans? And what was that about? Because I remember you saying about your hands or something.
I've done the Mon was great. It's changed recently because they don't let long story, but they don't let corporates and owner drivers on in the same race. But Le Mans used to be like the the biggest pro car race. Yeah, I used to love it, and it was a big thing, and it's the one everyone wanted to win. So we'd all turn up with, you know, new chassis and the engines in good condition and whatever, and our best teams. And so it gets to the point where you know, you end up rather than everyone having their fair share, you end up whoever's going well just leaving him in the car. So, you end up, if it's really close, then you end up over the radio, you're gonna have to go again. Right? Okay, yeah, I'll go again. And you're doing an hour and 20 stints at a time. And actually, I wasn't involved, but if anyone gets the chance, watch the British 24-hour race from last year, because it's the best race you'll ever watch. It comes down to the last lap between Haas and MS Car. It comes down to the last lap after 24 hours, and they crash going into the hairpin on the final lap. Absolutely brilliant. Watch the final half now. You won't believe it. There's been loads of races like that. I remember Le Mans one year. I think one year we lost by 10 seconds, and one year we won by like 5 seconds after 24 hours. It's really competitive. It's brilliant.
I think like in terms of, it seems like it's relatively strong, and like it seems to me, it just think like just off the top of my head, the endurance stuff has quite good potential for growth, because we're seeing this rise of sim racing, in particular like the endurance racing stuff, especially with like what's happened the last few months. Like, I think people understand endurance racing a bit more than they do the sprint stuff, and you can do it with a group of people in a team. And the reason I bring up Sims is because obviously you've got good in Sims this year, and like in terms of whether sim racing is a threat or not, it's difficult to sort of comprehend. But it seems like that endurance side of things has potential, because I know obviously people do the Club 100 stuff, and what do you think about that, like in terms of growth?
Two things there. I mean, the sim racing for me is just for fun. It doesn't give me the same buzz at all. But the racing, I only do console, like the Gran Turismo Sport. I've done a bit of iRacing or whatever, but the racing is good. Weird bunch, because it's cleaner than real life, right?
I tell people this, yeah, I tell people this all the time. They don't believe me.
In a kart race, if you overtake someone, they hang it around the outside. It's like fair game to run them off. It's not even thought about, really. If you do that in a sim race, you'll get death threats.
I don't think you're exaggerating, are you? Because I have seen on YouTube that you have kicked up quite a fuss.
Change how on the sim, just from the abuse, but the racing is good, but it doesn't give you that buzz. But obviously in the lockdowns, it's all anyone's been able to do, so it's sort of gained a bit of momentum there. Whether it will ever take place to real life, I personally can't see it. I mean, even the kids, they love it, and then they come into a real life kart race, and then they realise. So, and yeah, then with the endurance thing, like I said, in karting, there's not many series, is there? There's obviously the Rotax one, the OEKC, which is fun, but the kart's almost too fast. Like it hurts you too much, and then you have to drive a bit within yourself, mainly to look after your body, but also to look after the equipment. I know the Le Mans two-stroke one's a little bit different because they're more professional, but for your normal
Normal human. It's a bit much, yeah.
So the pro kart, and just so people know, it's not a corporate kart. It is a proper owner driver kart. With normal bodywork, all the stuff that you're used to, just with Honda 200s engine. So they still need 10 horsepower. So it's like 20 horsepower. It's quite a hard tire, which makes it challenging to drive. But just what I like about that is the you're still driving flat out. It's like a 24-hour sprint. Whereas a lot of the other endurance stuff I've done, it's a lot to do with managing everything, managing the tyre wear, your fuel, just managing everything. So you drive within yourself a lot. Whereas the slower category, like the pro car, is you just go flat out for 24 hours. Even in the rain, we're hitting all the curves. Like, so yeah, and I did a JDR team and took a load of two-stroke boys that raced for me to do it probably 2 years ago now, and they all absolutely loved it, just because it was different and a different dynamic to it.
Yeah, I think that's
And
kind of, yeah, go on.
it was just good to have like cheer on people that you've been competing against all year because you're now teammates with them, and actually like cheering them on and helping them go better rather than trying to put them in a wall.
That's fair enough. Because you will put people in walls. Because I know, because you've done it to yeah, you did it to me at GP karting. I think I recall. But it's Jack Dex, isn't it? If it's like you're just saying, yeah, you're all right. I'll put him in the wall, and you're like, if he reacts to it well, he's all right. He's solid. Like, I think with you, because the amount of stuff you've done in karting is more diverse than a lot of people. So I think that's quite a cool thing to encourage. Like, I guess I'm the same in that, though I don't race particularly much, and pretty much not at all at the moment, it is cool to embed yourself in different ways of karting, because it is quite a diverse sport in itself. Like, it's not just kart racing and sprint. There's loads of different aspects to it that are pretty cool. And like, sure, I'm a purist. I'm a 100cc man, and I'll happily rib 4-strokers. But the pro kart stuff's cool. And it is pretty damn competitive. Like, I do watch the T-side 24. That looks pretty good. Like, T-side's like a proper circuit. It's one of the best circuits in the country.
Fantastic circuit, and I've driven a 2-stroke round there as well, doing some driver training, and it's pretty bonkers in a 2-stroke. But in the track's really big, so for the 24 they join basically the car loop and the kart track together. And believe it or not, they have a corporate race at the same time. So with the corporates and the owner drivers, there's something like between 70 and 80 teams, right, going around the track at once for 24 hours, right? So when you're owner driver, I think we're like 10, 15 seconds a lap quicker than the corporate. So you're overtaking 5, 6 corporates every lap.
Which I know you probably have. I gotta get that. The Dex tap, which is hello.
No scraping on the floor for 23.5 hours.
Christ. It is. I mean, I probably at some point I'd like to do something like that. I don't know if my body can take it. Even a pro kart, mate. I don't even know if I could do 10 laps in a kart now. I feel like I'd collapse and die. I'd go through B at Wilton and I'd fall out the car.
It's weird, isn't it? How like, even through the lockdowns, and then you get back in one, and you how unfit you get. You need to do a bit of it to get kart fit. Even the kids I found, like when they had that first lockdown, they came back, and we did a test day at Wilton Mill, right? And we couldn't get the whole day because they were limiting the numbers, so we booked half a day. And everyone was like, "Oh, I'm not sure if I want to go for half a day. I want to do a full day." I tell you what, it was good we only did half a day, because they even struggled to last, half a day. But then, a few weeks go by, and then they're back
to it. Yeah, because I was thinking, like, what am I going to do? Because I've been lumbered. We talk about all this stuff, and I've got a Tony Kart road tax now, which is typical for me. All the stuff I go on about, but like, I'm thinking it's kind of probably quite a good tool just to get fitness. Like, just drive round until you choke up blood, and then you'll get some. I mean, the one thing the road tax is good for is it will just, if you get a reliable one, it will just hammer laps. So as much as I'm not really a fan of it.
Yeah, we all like to moan about the road tax for various reasons, but that needs, it is absolutely bulletproof, really, and you will be able to pound around for a full test day and not really have to worry about it.
Yeah, so I'll see what happens. Well, Jack, thanks for coming on the first show. I'll end it here. It's been fun. We're gonna have to do it again post sort of lockdown when we've got more post lockdown stories to tell of people racing and collapsing. But we'll have to do something at some point. Get this twin kart build done and get cracking. And yeah, thanks. And
are you gonna have a go in the superkart then, or what?
The superkart, I won't. No. I won't test a superkart until I can get a non-leather suit. but I will test the twin okay. But I have to. The thing is, Jack, you may be witnessing someone die. Because what you'll see is what I know what's going to happen, right? I'm going to go up the straight at Wilton, and then the throttle's going to stick open, and I was going to hit the bank. You're just going to see me fly into the field, and then you'll just have to go and collect my body and go, well, you know, it happens. That's what I want. If I get killed at the circuit, I want everyone just to go, it happens, mate. Yeah, you live and learn, and then carry on, and that's it. I don't want no red flags. And but yeah, we'll get something sorted in the summer. I think I'm looking forward to that. But I do think physically, I can internally, my organs are hurting just thinking about it. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. And
yeah, hopefully when we get back to it this time, we can have a bit more of a normal season and everyone can get back to enjoying some go-kart racing.
Yeah, or you know, I was so tempted, Jack, to get a dirt bike, mate. I was so tempted, but I'm glad I haven't, because I think I would be guaranteeing a death certificate there. So thanks for coming on. We'll do it again sometime, Jack.
All right, thank you. Cheers, bye.